arahato samma sambuddhassa namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa.
Homage to him, the Blessed One, the Exalted One, the fully enlightened One. Buddha means awakened one. The Buddha awakened to, discovered the truth more than 2,500 years ago. Buddhism began in India, but this truth, the Dhamma, which he discovered and taught, has spread to many countries. Today there are more than 500 million Buddhists in all parts of the world. Throughout its history, no wars have ever been fought in the name of Buddhism. Wherever it has gone, the teaching has always been spread peacefully, showing great tolerance for other traditions. In each place where Buddhism has taken root, it has assumed a slightly different form, adapting to local customs. Although Buddhism is practiced differently in various countries, the central doctrine, the Dhamma, is accepted by all. All Buddhists take refuge in the Triple Gem, the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha, which is the community of monks. In following what the Buddha taught, Buddhists everywhere seek liberation, an end to suffering.
Siddhartha Gautama, who became the Buddha, was born in 623 BC, the son of the king of the Sakya tribe, in what is now southern Nepal. The episodes from his life are depicted similarly in the Buddhist art of many countries. Before he was born, his mother, Queen Mahamaya, had a wonderful dream. In this dream, the Bodhisattva, or Buddha-to-be, in the form of a white elephant, entered her womb. This painting in the modern Japanese temple at Buddha Gaya, India, depicts the Bodhisattva descending from heaven. This carving from Bharut, central India, was done in the 2nd century BC. Now in the Indian Museum, Calcutta, these stone railing carvings are among the earliest examples of Buddhist art. There is a royal umbrella over the descending elephant in this carving at Borobudur in Indonesia. In this temple painting in Thailand, Queen Mahamaya is asleep in a lavish palace. The elephant is at her feet. This lacquer painting is in a temple in Malacca, Malaysia. This 11th century stucco plaque is in Pagan, Burma. The elephant can be seen above on the right. As the time for her delivery drew near, Queen Mahamaya left her palace to return to her parents' home. Along the way, the procession stopped in a pleasant grove called Lumbini. As Queen Mahamaya stood beneath a sal tree, a branch bent for her to grasp. This gold and jewel statue is from Nepal. Standing beneath the tree, supported by her sister, Queen Mahamaya gave birth. In this Gandharan carving, the Bodhisattva is shown emerging from her right side. This Korean painting shows the trees of Lumbini Grove covered with gold and precious jewels. we can see the baby coming out through Queen Mahamaya's sleeve. In this stone carving from Cambodia's Angkor Wat, a god, the four-headed Brahma, is receiving the baby. This early Chinese painting of the birth is from Tun Huan. This much venerated carving is in the Mahamaya Devi temple in Lumbini. According to legend, the Bodhisattva stood immediately after birth. In this Burmese plaque, we can see the baby descending. This stone relief in Kathmandu, Nepal, shows celestial beings showering the baby with flower-scented water. Here, dragons or nagas bathe the infant in a golden basin. The newborn baby took 7 steps, each step becoming a lotus. This picture was painted by an Indo-Chinese refugee in the Philippines. The Bodhisattva then pointed to the heavens and declared that this was his last birth, that he would certainly achieve enlightenment. This momentous event took place on the full moon day of the month called Wesak. The heavens were filled with singing, and Lumbini burst forth with beautiful blossoms. In this Tibetan painting, we can see both the birth and the 7 steps. The entire kingdom rejoiced over the birth of the prince. An old ascetic named Asita visited the palace to see the royal baby. When King Suddhodana brought his son in to pay respects to the teacher, the baby turned his feet to touch the ascetic's head. This painting is from Sri Lanka. Asita smiled and then wept. He was happy, he explained, because the baby would become a Buddha. He was grieved because he himself was too old to live to hear the teaching. On the 5th day after the prince's birth, King Suddhodana named the baby Siddhartha, meaning wish fulfilled. 7 Brahmins attending the ceremony predicted that if the prince stayed in the world, he would become a universal monarch, but that if he left the household life, he would become a Buddha. The 8th Brahmin, Kondanya, declared that the prince would definitely retire from the world and become an enlightened one. 7 days after the birth, Queen Mahamaya died. During Siddhartha's childhood, a remarkable incident took place at the royal plowing ceremony. Away from the festivities, the young prince sat alone under a jambu tree. He began meditating by concentrating on his breathing. As he meditated, his mind became very calm. He achieved the first jhana, or stage of higher concentration. When the attendants returned, they found the tree's shadow unmoved. Miraculously, it continued to shade Siddhartha's meditation. Hearing of this wonderful event, the king recalled the prophecy about his son's greatness and paid obeisance to him. As a young boy, Siddhartha showed a gentle and merciful nature. Once, while he and his cousin Devadatta were playing, Devadatta shot and wounded a swan. Siddhartha quickly ran to the hurt bird, picked it up, and carefully removed the arrow. Devadatta angrily demanded the bird. It was his, he said, because he had shot it. Siddhartha refused. It was his, he answered, because he had saved it. Hearing the argument between the royal cousins, the elders decided in Siddhartha's favor, agreeing that one who saves life has more right than one who seeks to kill. Afraid that his son would renounce the worldly life, King Suddhodana built special palaces for Siddhartha and filled them with beautiful young women, musicians, fine food, and every comfort. The king tried to create a sheltered, perfect world for his son to ensure that Siddhartha never even saw anything unhappy. In spite of all this luxury, the prince remained pensive and dissatisfied. He took no pleasure in politics, nor in sensual delights. When a son was born to him, he named the baby Rahula, meaning fetter. King Suddhodana had ordered that whenever the prince left the palace, the streets were to be cleared of all unpleasant sights and ugliness. One day, however, on a ride around the capital, the prince happened to see a feeble old man, gray-haired and walking with a stick. He asked his charioteer, Channa, who the strange creature was. Channa told him that he was an old man, no different from them except by years. The prince was dismayed to learn that everyone, rich or poor, royal or common, could become like that, decrepit, toothless, and weak. Then the prince saw a sick man in obvious pain beside the road. He wanted to help him, but Channa warned that the disease might be contagious. Siddhartha was disturbed to learn that sickness could strike anyone without warning. Later, he was shocked when he saw a corpse ready for the burning ground. Channa explained that all living things would one day die. Thus the prince learned that all beings are subject to old age, sickness, and death. At last, they passed a hermit with a calm, peaceful face. The prince brooded on this suffering which he had never known before. The simplicity of the homeless life appealed to him. Siddhartha resolved to abandon his life of privilege and to become a hermit himself, seeking the truth, the cause, and the end of suffering. Siddhartha's 4 encounters occurred shortly before he was to be crowned king. That night, he went to the inner apartments and gazed upon his beautiful sleeping wife, Yasodhara, and their infant son, Rahula. He dared not waken them, for he knew his family would not accept his decision to leave. Silently, he bade them farewell, promising to return after he had gained enlightenment. He ordered Channa to bring the saddled horse, Kantaka, to the palace gate. According to legend, gods supported the horse so that its hooves made no sound. In this way, he left the luxurious home life of a prince to begin his intensive quest for deliverance from suffering. This detailed carving at the great stupa in Sanchi, done in the 1st century AD, also depicts the great departure. At that time, the Buddha was never shown in human form. Here he is represented 4 times by his riderless horse, and one